Welcome back. This is going to be a pretty short, hopefully, episode because we had horse camp this morning and my kids are all at the pool right now, and I am ready to go sit in the pool and relax after herding so many young children and horses and just ready for it. Okay. This episode is really going to be, again, quick, but also so powerful because I want to tell you about a training that I just gave for another business coach. She teaches sales. She's amazing. It's Judy Weber. Totally highly recommend her. She's so wonderful and such a great person. Okay, and she asked me to come inside of her She Sells Higher program this summer to give two trainings. And I want to walk you through one of them that I just did. It's called the 7-Figure Mask. Obviously, you're not going to get the full training. If you want that, you can join She Sells Higher. But if you just to give you an overview, that's what this episode is going to be for. And so it's called the 7-Figure Mask because it's really about the woman who maybe has hit that 7 figures or maybe hasn't yet. The idea is that the 7 figures is more of that, if you have that really growth mindset, if you have that desire that God put on your heart to do something beautiful, right? And so the problem, whenever I was really, Judy asked me to come up with this training, the problem that I was facing is that I've seen it so many times over and over again where a woman builds this like beautiful business and maybe it's at 6 or 7 figures or even more. And instead of feeling free, she actually feels like more trapped than she did whenever she first started it. It's so ironic, right? And what this looks like is um, like you can't stop working, right? Or like you can't raise your price without feeling like you're gonna make people mad or lose clients or whatever. And like logically, it doesn't make any sense, but it just feels so real. Another one that I see all the time is not being able to release employees who are not good, right? Whether that be like they're not good at their job or they're just not really great humans in general. Or maybe it's even just like keeping clients. And I know I personally years ago did this where I had somebody who was paying, or some buddies who were paying me a set fee for like one-on-one sessions, and that set fee was so low. But I was so scared that if I said like, hey, I either need you to move into this package or pay this higher one-on-one fee, that they were going to say no and I was not going to suddenly be able to pay any of my bills, right? It didn't make any sense logically because at this point my business was doing very well. But in my body, it felt like I was like abandoning her, or that I was therefore going to be abandoned. Okay. And so what's so interesting is like whenever you're at this place where you maybe want to make more income or you want to make a bigger impact or whatever it is, you think you just need like a new strategy, right? Because you're like, surely if I just have a new strategy, then I can get more people inside who are going to pay higher and like I won't have any more problems after that. Right? Or maybe it's you think your brand needs to be redone. Like if you just have a more beautiful Instagram page or a more beautiful logo, then everything will be good. Or like it's that maybe it's at home and you're like, I just need a better morning routine, whatever it is, right? And so these women and you probably do all these things. And for a little bit, it feels like it's kind of working, but it's really not actually working. You might get some growth, but it's not like a true growth. It's more of like that last, you almost think of like a plant that lasts like hurrah before the fall and winter comes. So it shoots out all of its energy and then it kind of just dies back. That's not the kind of plant that we want to be. We want to be that long lasting plant. Okay. And so in this training, again, I was really talking to 6 and 7 figure business owners. That's who Judy brings into her programs. And it's awesome because they're making such amazing impact. And so what I did for this training is really help them to see that even though they're at like say 7 figures, they're really operating from a limited or scarcity mindset. And this is not intentional. Okay. So I want to paint the picture of this, of what it looks like. And inside the presentation, again, if you want to see it, you have to join She Sells Higher. But in the presentation, I give this beautiful picture of a house. And so right now I want you to think about your business and your life as a house. Okay. And so from the street, it's a beautiful house. I mentioned HGTV a few times because if you are my people, which I'm assuming you are, if you're listening to this, you probably watch HGTV. And you know exactly what I'm talking about, where it's like either on House Hunters or whatever, you go in and you see this big, beautiful house, and then inside it's like, oh my goodness, this is a wreck. I see why it costs like $5, right? Okay. But again, we have a big, beautiful house. And on the outside, you have the facade, right? Or the mask. That's where we get the 7-figure mask. And it's a version of you that, like, you learned a really long time ago that if you were good enough or helpful enough or strong enough or put together enough, whatever it is for you, that you would be safe. Okay. That you would be wanted, that you would belong. And none of those are bad things. That's literally how God created us. However, you have adapted so well that you've built your whole life and your whole business on that facade, on that mask. Okay. And so it's not a problem necessarily, but that's how we're going to term it. The problem is that you're really good at what you do, and you've built this beautiful facade, this beautiful mask, but it's not actually necessarily the real you. Okay. And what I mean by that is, like, yes, it can be you, but I can't even tell you how many clients that I've worked with who are like, I don't even know what it means to be me. Okay. And so this looks like being able to be yourself whenever you go home after working all day or after getting off of a sales call or whatever it is. This looks like being the strong, independent woman who can't let her husband help you with anything, right? This looks like not being able to talk to your kids in a real way because you're afraid that, like, if they see that mom's not okay, then they're going to fall apart too, right? Whatever it is, all right? And so what's interesting is that underneath every house, there's a foundation. There has to be a foundation, otherwise the house would fall down. And your foundation is your identity, right? This is not what you logically say about yourself. This is what your body believes about yourself. And in so many women, there's a crack in the foundation, right? And this is the wound, the start of the wound. And this can be a moment or a season, usually whenever you're really small, before the age of 7 or 10, where you learned something about yourself that was not true. Okay. But you believe it to be true. And what most people do not understand is that a foundation doesn't crack for no reason. Okay. A foundation, like, just literally think of a house. Go back to your HGTV watching days or whatever. A foundation cracks because of what is underneath of it, right? This could be the soil. This could be the ground shifting. This could be the water. This could be the tree roots. This could be whatever it is. Okay. Old piping. It doesn't matter. Think of something. It never just cracks. It always cracks for a specific reason. Now, yes, you can have like shoddy workmanship, but again, that's not the point. The point is that even if you have shoddy workmanship, if it's built on a solid foundation, it's not going to crack because the foundation's so strong that it's going to be able to hold up the not good conditions above it. Okay. And so this is where mindset work doesn't really work, where it plateaus, because all that you've been doing is you're just like, think of a crack on your sidewalk. You're just patching that crack on the sidewalk. But underneath, that ground is still shifting, right? And I mean, we see this in the Bible where it's like Jesus literally told us there's 2 houses, one built on sand, one built on rock, right? The storm hit both, right? And the house was the same. The ground underneath was so different. Really funny side note, for our wedding, we ended up choosing that Bible verse. I forget what the verse is, but we ended up choosing that verse. So funny is that the night before our wedding, we were getting married, or our reception was in a big tent and in our barn. The tent literally fell down, and it was just so funny because, like, the next day when we were at the mass and they read this verse, like, everybody started cracking up because they knew that the tent fell down. It was like, that was not built on solid foundation. So hopefully the marriage is. No, good. I'm just kidding. God's been good. All right. And so the reason that this matters so much in business is because the crack does not just stay in your business. It's going to run through your entire house. Okay. And so what that means is that crack is going to run not only in your business, but also in your life, in your relationships, in your physical health. Okay. A really, really good example right nowadays, especially because people are at summer vacation, is like, the same thing that doesn't allow you to let go of an employee is that same thing that keeps you from resting on vacation, right? Or like, say that you can't watch a movie without trying to do something on your phone or your computer. I literally remember doing this in high school where it's like I couldn't watch a movie. I had to be doing something at the same time because it didn't feel productive. That is the same part that is performing, or that is overgiving, or whatever it is, undercharging, okay? And so just as a real life example, I worked with a woman who was grossing well over $1 million, who was taking home like literally almost nothing relatively. I'm talking like $50,000. And her business was grossing over $1 million. And this was because she felt guilty because she felt like she wouldn't be a good Christian if she earned money. Okay. She felt like if she took her kids to a museum or to a vacation, that it was like too much of a luxury. Okay. So the money aside is like one thing. Again, that's just a symptom. But her wound was showing like, yeah, the money is a part of it. But really what it was all about is like the wound was costing her life with her kids because that's not what God called her to. If God had called her to that, then there would not be a wound there. Okay? There wouldn't be. Because God would have ordained that this is how he wanted her to be, and therefore it would have just happened. Okay? Same thing with you. If you are having these feelings you're having them for a reason. And there's a wound underneath of there. Right? And so it comes down to, yes, this is a business thing, for sure. Yes, your revenue is at stake. Yes, like your marriage can be at stake. Yes, your physical health can be at stake. Yes, your kids are watching you and like the woman that you're becoming at stake, but ultimately what's at stake is your sanctification. And until you do the most important thing of this entire training that I talked about, which is to heal those wounds, not just by pouring like concrete over concrete, that does not work, but you have to go so deep. Okay? Your house is going to look destroyed for a little while you fix underneath. But then what's going to be so beautiful is that you are going to have put in the work to have this amazingly strong foundation that's built on Christ so that the facade is no longer a mask, right? You're no longer just painting and hoping that nobody sees the cracks. You can have this beautiful home that is beautiful not because you're slapping paint on it, but because you're able to show the bones of the home themselves are beautiful, right? Okay. So what actually works, like what actually changes this foundation is, again, kind of wrecking things for a little bit. And that's not fun. It's kind of like the worst business plan ever for me to talk about, right? Where it's like, it's not one of those instant gratification things. It's not at all, but it's the thing that's going to change your life. Literally. Like so many women have gone through this and it changes everything. Now, that doesn't mean that they're perfect. That's not what it means. It means that they have fixed the massive crack that has been going all the way down through like the bedrock and everything. And now it's built on Christ and it's so strong and solid. Not to say that there's never going to be anything, but again, when your foundation is resting on a rock and that rock is Christ, like he is the cornerstone, nothing is going to shake you. Okay. It might give like a little bit of like maybe like a drywall crack or like a little stress crack fracture thing here and there, but it is not going to be foundational. It is not going to damage the home. You are still going to have a beautiful home. You're still going to have a beautiful facade. That is you. It's not that mask. Okay. And that comes again from your body actually believing the truth that Christ wants to speak to you. Okay. Not just logically knowing it, but your body actually believing it. And this comes from not managing that crack, not just continuing to put like concrete filler stuff in, but actually figuring out why the concrete's cracking in the first place. Okay. And so when like that woman that I was speaking to about with the business grossing over $1 million, whenever she was able to find her primary wound, and again, I go more into this in the training. If you want it, just join She Sells Higher. When she was able to heal that primary wound, everything started to shift. Okay. Her profit rose, her take home rose, her marriage actually got better. Her kids and her became like not friends in like not a good way, but her kids actually felt more comfortable speaking to her. Right. And again, the goal with all of this is not necessarily to get more money. The goal is to be able to be the person that God wants you to be. And for her, she discerned that meant that she could take her kids to a museum or to the beach or wherever it was once a week so that she could show them life. She could show them the world in a way that felt consistent and good for her and her family. Okay, now this is going to look different for everybody. The motivation with this is to make money so that you can support the life that God wants you to have, not just for your family, but also for those that you're going to bless. Okay, and so I left them with the final thing of like, if you've patched, quote unquote, the same problem more than twice and it keeps coming back, that is you not necessarily failing to like implement or be disciplined or whatever. It's in your foundation. That crack is in your foundation. And you do not need to just, again, like pour that concrete stuff on it or paint it or whatever. You actually need to get underneath and get to the root of why that concrete crack is there in the first place. And you never know how deep it's going to go until you start digging. But I can guarantee that if you start digging and you figure out where the crack's originating from and you heal that part, everything in your life is going to change. Okay. So it doesn't matter if you're making 0, 6, 7, 8 figures, whatever it is. You need this work because the woman that God had in mind when he created you is inside of you somewhere. And if you don't know who she is, that's his invitation for you to start digging. And I know that sounds so cheesy, but it's so, so true. Okay. And so if any of this is landing, please message me on Instagram or go to the show notes for any links. I would love to help you start digging metaphorically and really figure out where this is coming from. All right. So thanks for being here. And again, if you want the full training, join Judy Weber. She sells higher. And I will see you next time.